Welcome to Finlos Asks about music. I'm so excited to have Devon back with me on the show. Devon was one of my first guests when I first started the podcast, and I knew that he would be perfect to start these conversations about the impact of music on our lives. One, because we have a long history together, but also because he has been immersed in music for much of his life. In this episode, he shares his experiences as the vocalist for several hardcore bands, his transition to soul and R&B, and his exploration into vibration as not only the foundation of the sounds that we hear, but as the foundation of the whole universe. I'm really happy to be talking to you, man. You always bring me such joy.
Vice versa.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna talk about music, and I thought that you'd be a great first guest because I love you and because you are entertaining as hell, but also just because music has been a part of your life since your childhood. I mean, from our first conversation, I learned a lot about how you were raised in a church that was essentially entirely like couched in music. Is that accurate?
Something like that. That's the only part I was able to pick up.
So just the very broad question, what is the importance or significance of music for you in your life?
Man, oh man. This year has been a big consciousness journey. I think about music in a lot of ways. I have been trying to sit down more often and do research on people like Tesla, especially after hearing his quote about the secrets of the universe and frequency and vibration and all of that, and realizing that if that's the case, and if the secrets of the universe are, vibration, frequency, and energy, then isn't that just music? It's everything, not just some form of music.
Does that translate in a sort of real experience? Like, so I can understand that in an abstract. Okay, so there's electricity and frequencies and sound and frequencies and light and frequencies, and that's sort of like this universal idea. How do we as people though turn that into like, or what is music then? If it's something that is separate from these properties of the universe, is music in some way different than those other things as we experience it, or is it just sort of our limited understanding is how we experience music?
I think, because that's complicated.
It is.
Is music a human construct, or does it just exist?
Well,
Or maybe not human, but a sapient construct.
So is music, I guess, if we're thinking of a song, like song is structured, it has melody, it has rhythm, all of these things, is that sort of a limitation that we as people are trying to put on it? Or are those qualities always there inherently? Or I don't know, I'm just trying to explore that really big concept that you introduced.
I think a mixture of both. Um, I think it is easy for a lot of people to find music everywhere naturally. I think the world itself makes music all the time. But the person listening is the person who decides if it's noise or music. For me, man, music is not just songs. I guess what I was trying to say is sometimes music is people, or sometimes music is a situation. I think music is more of a feeling. I think sonically speaking, it is.
Well, maybe something that's always interested me, and which you have a lot of experience with, is the relationship between performers and we'll for the sake of simplicity of this conversation, we'll say musicians who perform on stage, and in this construct environment where we're at a concert, there's that interaction between the performer, the singer, or whoever's on stage and the audience. Is there a distinction between those two people? Like, is there one who's giving and one who's receiving? Is it an exchange between the two, or is all of it like with this? I mean, because what you're talking about is sort of a paradigm shift, obviously, for what most people think of about music. Is it all music then, by what you're saying?
Kind of. And to answer your question in terms of performer and listener, I think you would change it in terms of not so much like it's all music as much as music is there, but there's a transmitter and a receiver. And there is going, I I think for a lot of concerts or even say church services, places where a bunch of people are singing together or dancing together to something else, there's usually this kind of resonance, you know what I mean, where everything kind of blends together and everybody just like everybody's mood elevates, everybody feels closer. There's a reason that people perform live music and have for as long as we have learned how to play instruments.
Mm-hmm. And what is that reason?
That resonance is the is community. I think us being such a social species, and with our intelligence having moved us to having to be more secluded because a lot of our time is not spent free or able to, you know, find energy or time to do those things with people. I think we all kind of crave togetherness, and music shapes hmm, music shapes the songs of people. You know what I mean? Like most people's personality, the first thing that bases their look, their style, their outward characteristics is normally based on the kind of music that they're into. And that's their culture, their community.
So there's an interaction then between or I don't know. I'm trying to sort of piece together a narrative, or not a narrative, a tapestry of what you're saying, because you're talking about so many different things. You're talking about music as a form of community building
Mm,
and communication, because those community and communication are linked.
yeah.
But you're also talking about music as a way of creating a sense of continuity between people and then transmitting a culture through the music from one person to the next, and then that culture being represented at first superficially, makeup,
Mm,
clothing, and things like that,
mm,
which is usually determined by genre and historical stereotypes and things like that. But is there more
yeah.
to what those superficial, sort of things that we put on as costume, are those actually related to like deeper truths or deeper transmissions that are you think are going on with that music?
I think so. I think that we listen to the music that helps us feel seen, but also we can listen to the music to for what we wish. Like I like say specifically uh early to mid 2000s rap music, right? Where most of the lyrical content was about coming up and finding success by any means necessary sometimes.
Hmm.
And that the image with that is that no matter how low you start, you can end up at the highest. I think that people will find music to guide their moments, if that makes sense. And when you take that from listening in your bedroom, where it doesn't matter what you're wearing or how you present yourself, to going to these, spaces where other people listen to this same artist or style of stuff that you do, you don't want to be the person in bright pink at the black tie event.
Mm. Because then you're an outsider.
Yes, and we all, not many people enjoy being the outsider.
Hmm.
And I think music is the easiest way to stop being one.
It's a sort of it's an easy to spot doorway. You see people who look away that you find acceptable, you find it pleasing, you find it inviting, and then you sort of adopt their style, their fashion, and then you learn their music, and the music then becomes almost like a language, a sort of, even if we come from different places, different experiences, we share this story with this particular music.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar for you. I don't know if they're still your favorite band. I knew they were at a point. If you were somewhere and you saw somebody wearing a Tool shirt, say at
Hmm.
Disney World or something, I think you would be like, "That's cool."
Hmm. Yeah, there'd be something at least that we'd have common ground.
Yes, easiest way to find it, and then things usually branch out from there.
Mm. Do you have a memory of a band or a song or even a genre or an experience that you remember that first time you felt called to a particular type of music, which then made you feel accepted or a part of something bigger than what you were?
Kinda, yeah. Easiest one would be hardcore, but I didn't feel it at first at all. I
Okay.
didn't feel it for a long time. Um, I wouldn't count it for the first like many years.
Well, if I can interrupt you just for a second, because I respect all genres of music because all music, I think, is an expression of the thoughts, feelings, emotions of the people who create it, and it's all beautiful in its own way. But hardcore is
Except for noise, I don't think that's real. I don't think there's any emotions there.
okay. We can talk about that in a little bit,
Do you
but
like noise music?
I mean, maybe I don't know. How do you define noise music? Because I think that hardcore sometimes can be kind of noisy, but I wouldn't
Oh
call
no,
it.
noise is a genuine genre.
Okay, so what is noise? Is it like people
It's
would just break?
sounds
Is it people just breaking bottles and calling it music?
making loud sounds. I think
Oh,
any noise bands I've heard is true to form.
no, that's cool. I'll pass on that.
Yeah,
It's like expression, like abstract or
yeah,
performance
sure, yes.
performance artwork. It's like I'm gonna,
Modern art.
yeah, no, it's crap. Um, but hardcore, I think, at least the way that I approached it when I was first teaching, and because in those first couple of years, I had a lot of students who were in the local hardcore scene. But when as a younger person moving into more like a more rich understanding of different genres of music, I still found hardcore to be rather abrasive, I think is a kind term for it. And like I respected the musical acumen, the technical prowess of the constructs of the music, but it was still just really hard to listen to because it's I almost feel like it's intentionally unpleasant. Like that's part of the motive.
Sometimes, yeah,
So did you
often.
did you experience that sort of thing at first, and then how did that shift?
Man, you know what I really think?
You just got used to it.
I
Is
think
it like you just listened to it so long that you got used to it?
I mean, I think that certain bands,
Mm-hmm.
again, I know I'm a second time, you know, person, a recurring character on the podcast. But if you didn't know, I'm black, everyone. I'm a black American man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think when I first got there, oh, I think hardcore, some bands, the black community would like because the beats are good,
Yeah.
and we like beats. But the lyrical content,
Wait. Stop. Are you just making the broad statement that black people like good beats? Like that's just a rule?
it's not a rule, but it just works this way.
Cool. That's cool.
Uh,
I okay. So, but you're extending. You're making the argument that a lot of hardcore music has like a solid beat, like as a foundation.
has complex rhythms that are fun to catch on to.
Okay.
But then you start hearing the person who's making the vocals make vocals, and you're like, I don't want this person yelling at me.
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
like
turn off
that.
for me. I don't like the screaming. It doesn't do it for me.
Then I started learning how to hear the words.
Okay.
And that I think is what actually stuck me around. Because it's lyrical content that you don't hear very often. You don't hear lyrical subjects like that done well on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a lot of songs about being sad, but as time has gotten, the more contemporary songs is mostly about doing drugs or drinking those things away
Mm-hmm.
instead of just wallowing in your shit
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So okay, I'm gonna continue with this because I don't hear the words most of the time. I try, like I want to hear the words. I want to give it a shot. I how did you what is the moment? What is the aha sound like? How did you learn to hear the words? I guess is what I'm asking you.
reading the words as you're listening to them.
Ah, okay.
And man, it took some time.
Yeah.
It's a language. It was a language. I don't know how to know the words of corn, and they're on the radio,
Yeah.
or like Slipknot, even though it's very similar most of
Mm-hmm.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's very similar to knowing how to talk a sports game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what a rule of most things are, but some people can tell you people's random three letters in a row with some numbers afterwards. There's different languages, or dialects, I guess you could say.
For sure.
Sports is one. There's many different dialects of the language of sports.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what an RBI means. I know it exists somewhere,
Sure.
maybe baseball
It's baseball.
or highlight.
No,
Oh,
not
that's
highlight. I mean, there might be RBI and highlight, but I don't know.
see, you know what I mean?
I do.
Words.
So yeah, there's definitely that cultural context, and I think that I think that there's a level of, and I think what you're getting at is, again, there's wanting to belong, and then once you're in, there's wanting to protect and keep it special, that only the privileged few can get in. And part of like the initiation is, A, sticking around long enough for your ears to bleed, two, to like learn the dialect and so you can speak the language with us, right? And then, of course, with hardcore, there's the live performances and the mosh pits, and like all of that goes along with it. So I I mean, you're describing basically almost every culture everywhere, and music is just another extension of that, like the being included, being ritually inducted, and then becoming a part of that, and sort of being a gatekeeper to everybody else once you're in.
No, I was never a gatekeeper. I think gatekeeping is the weakest thing people do.
Okay. Because knowing not you, but knowing other people who are a part of hardcore communities, they seem pretty aggro towards outsiders. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, for sure. That's why, yeah, I don't like it. I
How
think
do you survive this, Devon? Because you're like the most chill person I know, and yet you're a black man, or a black human, I should say. You're a black human, and you move through some of the most toxic white spaces ever unscathed. Unscathed.
I don't know about unscathed. We have our traumas. We just don't like to talk about them.
Okay, I got you.
How did I survive it?
Yeah.
Ignoring danger constantly and calling it fun.
But those were were those lies?
Or was I actually having fun?
Or was saying that you're having fun, is that also a lie? Like, is like you're lying to yourself twice then?
Retrospectively, I think I was.
Okay. But then you put yourself out there as like the lead vocalist for a hardcore group. Like, it's not only did you ignore the risk that you knew was there and call it fun, but then you basically became like the largest focal point in the room.
Yeah. Well, the message I was preaching is, hey man, I'm so sad. That's it. There's nothing more. It's like, if you guys are sad too, that sucks, but it's about me now.
Do you still consider yourself to be a part of that community? Like, is hardcore music still
No. Not even a little bit.
What happened? Like, do you not even enjoy listening to the music anymore?
I do.
Okay.
But I strive every day for my peace. I have lived discomfortably all my life, and I have decided I do not want to. And I just started listening to more neo soul and looking up conspiracy theories instead.
Cool. Let's split those two things for right now. I want to talk about.
Oh, for sure.
So we're talking about like not complete opposites here, but there's a pretty wide gap between hardcore, or maybe there isn't, and maybe you can tell me what the connection is, but between soul and neo soul and hardcore. Because when I think of hardcore, again, the word that I think of is abrasive. Like, it is pain, and it is intended to make the audience share in the pain as much as possible, right? And again,
Yeah.
broadly stereotypical. I'm sure that there are positive messages in hardcore music too, but it's pretty
Yeah.
overtly negative, like the messages that are conveyed through that. Whereas soul music is like listening to honey. It's smooth. It is organic, which is not to say that it's not complex. That there aren't like like rhythms that are rough and tumble, but the vocal, especially, and I think vocalists always take so much of the attention of a performance. And when we think of soul, when I think of soul, I think of just the smoothest, on point, clear, and even to contrast, easy to understand vocals. Like,
Legible vocals. Yeah.
yeah, like how did you? What is that journey, and how did you get there?
I think the soul was there first,
Okay,
to be true.
hardcore to neo soul, and you saying soul was has always been there.
Yeah.
What is it? How is it present for you? Like, what does it do, or how does it speak to you?
I am a hopeless romantic. I love love. I love listening about it, looking at it, seeing it, being in it. That is the music of love, in my opinion, or it can be. But also, like I said, I really like my peace, and that music is peaceful majority of the time.
So if I were to if you were to play something like press play right now, what would I hear? Like whatever you were last listening to.
I can literally tell you that. I can't say that it's soul music. It
Okay.
might be a hardcore band. We still have our days.
Of course. Yeah, I mean,
It is. It is absolutely a hardcore band.
okay.
It is a band called Dead End Path from their last studio project called Seance and Other Songs. The song is called Tunnel Dark, and it's very good.
What about soul? What is the who is this, or what is the soul artist or group that like that you think best encompasses that sense of joy and peace and calm?
That I'm into.
Yes, that you're into. That is an important distinction.
That's harder. Lately, let me go through this. I'm a very big fan of Jasmine Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
I love women with deep voices, especially singers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she reminds me of Donny Hathaway as a woman in a good way. Um, I like Mac Ayres a lot. He's a little white boy, but he sings black people music well. Um, man, oh man, what else have I been listening to?
What
Um,
so when you're, this is hard language for me to sort of say without, but anyway, I do struggle with language because I like to be precise, but
Same.
how do you use the music? So you come home, you're stressed out, you need something to sort of get you in the right place. How does that like what do you what aspects of the music like speak to you first? Is it some specific instrumentation? Is it the vocal, like do you really lean into the vocals? Is it the percussive elements? Like, I'm just curious, what is it about music's genre specific, or just music in general, that where you sort of latch onto, and it sort of is, it allows you to enter that space?
Oh, good question. Very good question. Depends on the genre, the mood, and the time. If I am wanting to, most of the time that I would be listening to hardcore, like a very angry genre, I am not angry. I don't like to listen to it when I'm angry, because all that does is resonate the emotion, and who wants to be like full in there? I usually am listening to it when I'm bored. Other thing, when I'm listening to music for emotion, is usually softer things, and I go for either lyrical content or pretty vocals. I enjoy really good. When singers are good, it's like they can play their instrument with their voice. And I like hearing that when people are just kind of really in their thing. I don't know how to explain it.
I think I got you. If you had to just like, is there a song or an artist or or is it just you where if you had to have sort of like this representation of where you are right now, what do you think you would give, like if you needed to introduce yourself to somebody right now through music, what would you have them listen to and to give them a sense of who you are right now?
Jeez. Um, Jeez. I've never thought that question in my whole life. So I'm going to steal that from you.
And maybe it's a couple of things. Maybe it's like you need to listen to this for just 30 seconds and then transition into this, and like the blending of those two things really encompass who you are.
This is really hard. I think it would be easier if it was a 5-song playlist
5-song
of
playlist. That's cool. What are your songs?
number one. Number one and two are one band, different songs. Number one is God or Government by Crown of Thorns.
Okay.
And number two is Mentally Vexed by Crown of Thorns.
Okay.
The first one, like I said, this year has been a vastly radicalizing year for me in terms of just paying attention to how maybe not the world works, because I don't know if I can think that big just yet, but paying more attention to how this country works and how everybody in the country works and how it's too much, so not enough all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is a song just about feeling lost in life. I don't know if I still feel like I am lost in life. I feel like I'm just walking out of the clearing, or not the clearing, but like walking out of the edge of the forest into, life. I've said it to you before. I think I said it in the last podcast, but I don't know if it's stuck. But I wasn't expecting to be here this long, and now that I am, well, no, this wasn't the last one. It's a lot has changed since then. It's like I guess I'll do it now. It's like I want to be alive, and being able to navigate the storm of my mind that I have just let rage for 32 years in this body. Growing up is weird.
It is weird. And we're never done, right? We like to think of like childhood being over, but no, we're never done. It's never over.
No. You learn always, and then you have kids and you have to learn more.
Oh man, they teach me so much.
Yeah.
And you taught me so, and we've had this conversation. You taught me so much because you're one of my kids too. And that relationship is very multifaceted. Father, son, brothers, whatever, man. You teach me like a father sometimes too. That's how it works.
We learn. That's the point. We exist to observe and to take in and to experience. That's what I think life is for. That's why we've got these little balls of light inside of our weird clay bodies, or so Noah would say they're made out of.
All right, you got me three songs, 2 to go. What's left on your playlist?
Two down, 3 to go.
Oh, 2 down, 3 to go.
The next one, man, this is a lot harder. I've never thought about this before. I just listen to music sometimes. I have never been stumped like this before in my life. Number 3 is going to be Giving You the Best That I Got by Anita Baker.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thank you. I'm very in my love game right now, in my love bag.
I'm so happy for you, man. You sound different, so I can tell.
That's weird. You're not used to hearing happy in my voice. Usually it's just like simple apathy. But I don't have that as much anymore.
Well, it's sort of like not so much apathy. I would never have labeled you as apathetic, but there's a certain mania that comes with not giving a fuck that you definitely gave off, like that sort of manic energy for sure.
I was a creature. I was a creature.
Can I ask you a tough question, and you can pass if you want to?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have your mother passed a bit ago, but it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Um, do you associate music with her at all, and if so, like in what way?
Yeah. We have, there's certain song, there's at least one song that I can think of that I don't know if I can listen to again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I listened to this artist, Kim Ritchie, because it was my mom's favorite for a while. It was my siblings and I all love her music, at least her first couple albums, because of my mom. So I listened to that, and sometimes it feels like my mom is with me. Susan Tedeschi, her album Hope and Desire, my mom loved that record, as well as John Mayer's Continuum. Song number 4 is Stop This Train by John Mayer. There
I,
it is.
I knew you were gonna get there. I knew you were gonna get there.
Thank you. Thank you. You get me. You understand me. Um, Definitely Stop This Train. That might be, and there's no hierarchy in the list, but if there was, that might be number one on how I feel.
Okay.
Life is moving constantly,
Constantly,
um, constantly, and
and it
that's,
and it does not wait. And yeah, it's a ride. It is a ride.
and then the last one might be, strangely enough, Living Thing by, is it Manchester Orchestra? Let me see. Electric Light
The
Orchestra.
Electric Light Orchestra. Yeah, got you. Cool, man. So everything can be music if we're all vibrations, all the frequencies are there.
Yeah, I've been kind of, that's how I've been thinking about it. I
Mm-hmm.
think stories are just songs and vice versa.
Yeah,
And every life is a story, every life is a song.
that's cool, man. Well, I think that's a good place to stop. If you were an instrument, what would you be?
A bassoon.
You would be a bassoon. That's such a great instrument. Nobody ever thinks of a bassoon. What?
Ooh, that's hard. I got three.
Okay, what are the other
That
two?
one came first. It
Uh,
would be bassoon, oboe, or cello.
okay, so two woodwinds and a string. Not bad. I like. I
Yeah,
yeah. Cello is an amazing instrument.
I
It's
think it's my favorite.
it's really cool. It's such a sad instrument. It's so you.
Yeah, right,
It's this.
right.
It's
You
the.
get
It
it.
makes the saddest music.
That is it. I love cello music. Yeah, I think it's cello.
I like those three instruments. They're all. Oboe's an interesting one. It's a very nasal instrument, so that's surprising. That one is surprising. I would never have associate you with that sort of nasally tone, but it's a beautiful instrument too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh shit. I would definitely be if all right, I'll cheat and I'll do two or three as well. I would definitely be an electric bass.
Fret or fretless?
I'm not good enough to play fretless, so it would be with a fret. I think you get more consistent tone with fret with a fret. Um,
Okay.
I would be so there's this really interesting instrument called a mesmer, and if you ever watch any movie that takes place in the Middle East anywhere, whether it's like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and there's always like this musical horn that sounds like the buzzing of bees, and it like only plays 5 or 6 notes, but it's like it's like super eerie, super creepy sound. But it makes when you pair it with a certain timbre of vocals and a single percussion like a djembe or something like that, like a drum, like but one drum, not like a funky combination of drums. So you just have this combination of a vocalist, one percussion, and then this mesmer. It creates music that if I believed there was some sort of moment of decision when you die, like where you have to like go through a trial, like that would be the music that was playing as you're being weighed and measured. Yeah. And then finally, I think I would be like a Moog synthesizer, like a, a,
Okay.
a legit, 8 key, but like 100 knobs Moog synthesizer that could create any sound you want to, basically. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that there's a certain, I think that I think that there's something really cool that So, all of the instruments before this we've described are fairly organic. They're made from organic things like the resonance of air or the vibration of strings or
Yeah.
whatever. There's the artificialness of a synthesizer. I think epitomizes the peak, one of the pinnacles of human creativity, that we have learned to actually recreate beauty, but in our own way, with sound. That we ascribe to be as creative as nature can be. We'll never be as good. I think that there's nothing can recreate the sound of falling water. Like, that is probably one of the most musical sounds in nature. It's just the sound of
Yeah.
falling water. But I think we can come pretty darn close. And I think that is the pursuit of like the replication of that is I think a noble one. Thank you so much for talking with me. I love you.
Love you. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. If you have questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, or are interested in appearing on the show, connect with me via social media, send an email to finlos@finloslives.com, or leave a voice message via the SpeakPipe app at finloslives.com. If you enjoyed this content, I hope you'll share the podcast. I look forward to our next conversation. Dude, good luck.
I know. It's
Good luck.
What's really bad, because you know me, and you know that my force of presence is kind of strong.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No. You could start a cult very easily. It would not take more than maybe a day, and you'd have a following.
It's been joked around a lot lately, not by me, by other people.
Yeah. I could see it happening.
I lived a weird enough lifetime. I don't need to make it a cold sandwich.
Oh, but think of the good you can do. and then at the great collection, when the millions of followers show up, you're like, if you pull out your crossed fingers from behind your back and you're like, haha, just kidding.
Like, y'all are dumb. Kill the snake, everybody.